The baby shower my cousin Jessica had organized was supposed to be a celebration, but 30 minutes into the party, it felt more like an intervention. Gathered in Mom's living room, surrounded by pastel decorations and tiny gift bags, 20 female relatives sat in a circle that felt more like a tribunal than a celebration. I was 7 months pregnant, visibly showing and according to my family, woefully unprepared for motherhood. "Babies are expensive, honey," my Aunt Patricia said, her tone dripping with concern as she adjusted her designer handbag. "Diapers, formula, childcare, medical bills. Have you really thought this through?" I kept my hands folded over my growing belly trying to stay calm. "I've thought about it extensively." "But Rebecca," my cousin Jessica chimed in, "you work for some tech startup, right? Those companies fold all the time. What happens if you lose your job while you're on maternity leave?" "I'll figure it out," I said quietly. This wasn't the first time my family had expressed concerns about my pregnancy. Ever since I'd announced I was expecting, every family gathering had included unsolicited advice about the financial realities of raising children. "Rebecca works in computers," Mom explained to the group as if that clarified everything. "Something with software development. But you know how unstable those tech jobs are." "Exactly," Aunt Patricia said, warming to her favorite topic. "My friend's daughter worked for 3 different tech companies that went out of business. Now she's back living with her parents." My sister-in-law Michelle nodded sagely. "And childcare costs are astronomical. We pay $2,000 a month for daycare and that's considered reasonable. Which is why I keep saying Rebecca should move back home," Mom said. "At least until the baby is older and she's financially stable." I shifted uncomfortably in my chair. "I appreciate the concern, but I'm managing fine in my apartment." "That tiny one-bedroom place?" Jessica laughed. "Rebecca, where is the baby supposed to sleep?" "In the closet." "I'm looking at larger apartments," I said. "With what money?" Aunt Patricia's voice rose with dramatic emphasis. "You can't afford to be a mother. Children need financial stability. They need college funds, health insurance, extracurricular activities. They need resources you simply don't have." The room fell silent as her words hung in the air. 20 women nodding in solemn agreement, all convinced they were witnessing a disaster in progress. "Patricia's right," my grandmother said sadly. "In my day, people didn't have children unless they could properly provide for them." "Maybe it's not too late to consider other options," my aunt continued. "There are families who are financially prepared to raise children. Families with established careers and stable incomes." I felt tears starting behind my eyes. "I'm not giving up my baby." "No one's saying give up," Jessica said quickly. "We're saying be realistic about whether you can provide the life a child deserves. What kind of life can a single mother working at a startup really provide?" Michelle added, "I mean, be honest with yourself." I was spared from answering by my cousin Emma, who was fiddling with the television remote. "Sorry everyone. I was trying to put on music, but the news is on." "Just leave it," Mom said. "We're having an important conversation." But the television had captured everyone's attention because a familiar logo filled the screen. The logo of Riverside General Hospital, where I planned to deliver my baby. "Oh, this should be interesting," Aunt Patricia said. "Riverside General is always in the news for something. Usually budget problems." The news anchor appeared on screen with a bright smile. "Good afternoon. I'm here at Riverside General Hospital for a very special announcement. The hospital has just received the largest single donation in its history, $25 million, to fund a completely new state-of-the-art maternity wing." The room went quiet. Even my family's intervention paused for major news. The generous donation comes from Rebecca Chin, CEO and founder of Novatech Solutions, the artificial intelligence company that's been making headlines for its groundbreaking healthcare applications. I felt every eye in the room turn toward me, but kept my attention focused on the television screen. Ms. Chin, who is expecting her first child, says she wanted to ensure that every mother and baby in our community has access to the very best maternal health care, regardless of their economic circumstances. The camera cut to a live press conference at the hospital, where I could see myself on screen, standing beside the hospital administrator and several doctors. I was wearing the navy maternity dress I'd bought specifically for the announcement, looking professional and confident despite being 7 months pregnant. The new Chin Family Maternity Center will feature 12 private birthing suites, a Level 4 neonatal intensive care unit, and the most advanced maternal monitoring technology available, my televised self was saying. "Every expectant mother deserves access to excellent health care, and this facility will ensure that no one in our community lacks access to world-class maternal care." The silence in Mom's living room was deafening. Dr. Martinez, the hospital's chief of obstetrics, appeared on screen next. "Ms. Chen's donation will transform maternal health care in our region. The new wing will serve over 3,000 births annually and provide specialized care for high-risk pregnancies. This is a game-changer for maternal and infant health outcomes. The news anchor returned. Novatech Solutions, founded just 4 years ago, has grown into one of the region's most successful AI companies, with annual revenues exceeding $180 million. Ms. Chen, who holds advanced degrees in computer science and biomedical engineering, started the company in her apartment and has grown it into a major healthcare technology provider. Jessica's mouth was hanging open. Michelle had dropped her gift bag. Aunt Patricia looked like she'd seen a ghost. The Chen Family Maternity Center is expected to open 18 months from now, just as Ms. Chen's own baby reaches toddlerhood. When asked why she chose to make such a significant donation while expecting her first child, Ms. Chen said she wanted to create a world where every child, including her own, has access to the best possible start in life. The news segment concluded with shots of the hospital's architectural plans for the new wing, featuring spacious birthing suites, family lounges, and cutting-edge medical equipment. Emma finally found her voice to turn off the television, but the silence continued for another full minute. Finally, Aunt Patricia whispered, "Rebecca, that was you on television." "Yes," I said simply. "You donated $25 million to the hospital." "Yes." Mom was staring at me like I was a stranger. "Rebecca, you're the CEO of Novatech Solutions?" "I founded the company 4 years ago. We develop AI systems for healthcare applications, diagnostic tools, treatment planning software, patient monitoring systems." "But you said you worked in tech," Jessica said weakly. "I do work in tech. I run a tech company." "A tech company worth?" Michelle was frantically Googling on her phone. "Oh my God. Novatech Solutions annual revenue $180 million. Estimated company valuation $400 million. Rebecca Chen, founder and CEO, net worth estimated at $240 million. The numbers hung in the air like smoke. $240 million? Grandmother whispered. "Estimates vary," I said. "But the company is doing well." Aunt Patricia was reading over Michelle's shoulder. Forbes 30 Under 30. Healthcare Innovation Award. MIT Technology Review Innovator of the Year. She looked up at me. "Rebecca, you're on the Forbes list?" "Last year, yes." "And you never told us?" I shifted in my chair, trying to find a comfortable position. "I tried to tell you about the company. Every time I mentioned Novatech or the AI healthcare work, someone said tech startups were too risky or unstable." The memory of previous conversations hung in the room. "Remember Christmas dinner?" I continued. "I mentioned landing a major hospital contract, and you said I shouldn't get my hopes up because tech companies fail all the time." Aunt Patricia winced. "But we didn't know you were the CEO. I told you I founded the company. You assumed that meant I was struggling in a garage somewhere." Mom was still processing. "Rebecca, if you're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, why do you live in that tiny apartment?" "Because I don't need a mansion and I'd rather invest the money in growing the company and supporting causes I care about." "Like the maternity wing," Emma said. "Like ensuring every mother has access to excellent health care, regardless of her economic situation." The irony was not lost on anyone in the room. Jessica was scrolling through more search results. "Rebecca, there are dozens of articles about you. Young CEO revolutionizes healthcare AI. From MIT dropout to healthcare innovator. Novatech Solutions, the startup that's changing medicine." "MIT dropout?" Mom asked. "I left my PhD program after 2 years to focus on the company full-time. The technology was developing faster than I could complete academic research." "And now you employ how many people?" Michelle was reading from her phone. 437 as of last month. Aunt Patricia sat back in her chair looking dazed. "Rebecca, I just spent 20 minutes telling you that you can't afford to have a baby." "I heard. While you were planning to donate $25 million to build a maternity wing. The donation was finalized 2 weeks ago. Today was just the public announcement. And you're having your baby in a maternity wing that you personally funded." "That wasn't really the point, but yes, I suppose so." Mom was crying quietly. "Sweetheart, why didn't you correct us? Why did you let us worry about your finances?" I considered the question while looking around the room at 20 women who had spent the past hour convinced they were witnessing financial irresponsibility. "Because I wanted to know that you cared about me and my baby regardless of my bank account," I said. "If I'd started by announcing my net worth, would your concern have been about my well-being or about my money?" The question lingered uncomfortably. "But we made you feel terrible," Jessica said. "We spent your baby shower questioning whether you should be having a child. You were concerned about a baby's welfare. That's actually exactly what I'd want from family. People who care about children having good lives. even when we were completely wrong about your situation? Emma asked. You weren't wrong to care about financial stability for children. You were just wrong about my financial stability. Aunt Patricia leaned forward. Rebecca, can I ask why you live so modestly if you're worth so much? Because money is a tool for solving problems, not for displaying status. The apartment meets my needs. The car is reliable. I'd rather spend money on expanding healthcare AI research than on luxury items I don't actually want. But the maternity wing donation, that's enormous. Maternal mortality rates in our region are 40% higher than the national average, primarily due to lack of access to specialized care. The new wing will save lives and improve outcomes for thousands of families. Michelle was still reading. Rebecca, this article says Novatech's diagnostic AI has been implemented in over 200 hospitals nationwide. 234 as of this month. And your software helps doctors diagnose diseases? Our AI systems analyze medical imaging, lab results, and patient data to identify potential diagnoses that human doctors might miss. We've helped diagnose thousands of cases of cancer, heart disease, and neurological conditions in earlier stages. You're saving lives, grandmother said quietly. The technology is saving lives. I just built the systems that make it possible. The room was quiet for several minutes as everyone processed this information. Finally, Mom spoke. Rebecca, I owe you the biggest apology of my life. Mom, you don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. I spent this entire pregnancy worrying about your financial security while you were running a company that's changing healthcare. I suggested you move back home while you were literally funding a hospital wing. You were being a caring mother, I said. That's exactly what I wanted. But we made you feel like we didn't believe in your ability to provide for your child. You made me feel like you cared about my child's well-being. There's a difference. Aunt Patricia was shaking her head. Rebecca, I feel like such an idiot. I told you that you couldn't afford to be a mother while you were in the process of donating more money to maternal health care than most people see in a lifetime. The donation wasn't about proving I can afford motherhood. It was about ensuring that affordability doesn't determine the quality of maternal care any mother receives. Including mothers who really can't afford premium health care, Jessica said, understanding dawning in her voice. Especially those mothers. Emma raised her hand tentatively. Rebecca, can I ask what it's like? Running a company that big. Complex, I said. Every decision affects hundreds of employees and thousands of patients. There's enormous responsibility in developing technology that doctors rely on for life and death diagnoses. And stressful? Mom asked. Sometimes, but also incredibly fulfilling. When I get emails from doctors saying our AI helped them catch a cancer case they would have missed, or from families whose loved ones received better care because of our technology, that makes every difficult day worthwhile. Is that why you wanted to have a baby now? Michelle asked. While the company is doing so well? I placed my hands on my belly, feeling the baby move. I wanted to have a baby because I'm ready to be a mother. The company's success means I can provide financial stability, but more importantly, it means I'm doing work that makes the world a little bit better for the next generation. And you'll keep running the company after the baby is born? Jessica asked. With modifications. I'm building a management structure that allows for more delegation. The goal is to maintain growth while also being present for my child. Rebecca, Aunt Patricia said quietly, I need to ask your forgiveness. I questioned your readiness for motherhood while you were demonstrating exactly the kind of forward-thinking responsibility that makes someone an excellent parent. Patricia, you were looking out for a baby's welfare. That's exactly the kind of aunt I want my child to have. But I was so wrong about your circumstances. You were right about what children need, stability, security, and people who care about their well-being. I'm grateful my child will have all of that. The party gradually resumed, but with a completely different energy. Instead of an intervention about financial irresponsibility, it became a celebration of impending motherhood with family members who finally understood the full picture. Rebecca, Mom said as we opened baby gifts, I have one more question. What's that? With everything you've accomplished, are you nervous about becoming a mother? I thought about the question while unwrapping a tiny sleeper decorated with ducks. Terrified, I said honestly. Running a company is complicated, but at least I understand technology and business strategy. Raising a human being is infinitely more complex and important. But you'll figure it out, grandmother said confidently. Someone who can build a multimillion-dollar company from nothing can certainly learn to change diapers and handle 2 a.m. feedings. I hope so. And now your baby will be born in a hospital wing you personally funded, Emma said with a smile. With pediatric specialists and neonatal intensive care that wouldn't have existed otherwise, I added. Rebecca, Jessica said, I think your baby is going to have exactly the kind of life every child deserves. a mother who cares deeply about making the world better and has the resources to act on that caring. 3 months later, I delivered a healthy baby girl in the Chin Family Maternity Center's birthing suite number 7. The care was exceptional, the facility was beautiful, and every staff member was committed to providing the best possible experience for new mothers and babies. But the most meaningful part was looking around the maternity wing and knowing that hundreds of other families would benefit from the same level of care, regardless of their ability to pay for it. At my daughter's first birthday party, held in the same living room where my baby shower had taken place, Aunt Patricia gave a toast to Emma Rose Chin, who is lucky enough to have a mother who not only can afford to give her everything she needs, but who uses her success to ensure that every child has access to the best possible care. And to Rebecca, who taught us that the most important financial planning for parenthood isn't about accumulating wealth. It's about using whatever resources you have to build a better world for the next generation. As I looked around the room at my family holding my healthy 1-year-old daughter, I reflected on how much had changed since that difficult baby shower. The concern my family had expressed about financial readiness for motherhood had been genuine, even if misdirected. And their commitment to my daughter's well-being, once they understood the full picture, had been unwavering. My phone buzzed with a notification from the hospital. Chin Family Maternity Center celebrates 1,000th birth with 100% healthy outcomes for mothers and babies. I smiled, bouncing Emma Rose on my knee. Building a successful company had been challenging, but building a better world for her generation, that was the real measure of successful parenthood.